This episode of ETC is brought to you by What Lives Inside, presented by Dell, a new social film from the director of Maleficent. Submit your art to whatlivesinSide.com by March 9th, and your creation could appear in the actual movie. Hey there, guys, it's Saturday, so let's take a dump on the news.
All right, yeah, last Sunday was the Super Bowl, and with it came a cavalcade of absolute nonsense that usually appears anytime the eyeballs of millions of people are fixated on something with phones and tablets in hand, ready to make jokes, share photos, and create memes out of the whole spectacle.
I got a lot of followers from tweeting about it.
Yeah.
So obviously the main focus on this year's Super Bowl wasn't the New England Patriots or the Seattle Seahawks, and it wasn't even that blunder of a play call that lost the game for the Seahawks. It was those goddamn Sharks.
Yeah, fucking goddamn Sharks taking over my feed. And instantaneously, the Sharks from the Katy Perry halftime show were thrust into the lexicon of nearly every American. Hashtag left shark, I guess. As well as people across the globe. And if you thought for a second that a day would go by without some kind of merchandising ploy happening, boy, were you wrong. Because you can already buy the shark costume.
Of course you can.
Yeah.
Now, these things will undoubtedly sit around in your closet until Halloween, where you'll put it on and say, oh, cool, enough time has passed that this shark costume is now ironic. And I'll be the hit of the party.
Yeah, until you show up and realize that everyone is wearing the same goddamn thing as you. At least it'll be entertaining.
It won't. Anyways, people on sites like Etsy, Indiegogo, and others all jumped at the chance to cash in, creating what will probably end up looking like a really shitty knockoff version of the outfit, but also a few well-known clothing retailers such as Bonobos have thrown in their hat as well.
Yeah.
Everyone wants a piece of that shark.
True, you can go to Bonobos and enter your email on their site and you'll get a notification when the costumes will be available. But like we said, don't expect much unless you're willing to shell out a bunch of money for a one-trick joke that'll be played out by the time you get to show it off. Those suits during the halftime show, they probably cost at least $500 if you wanted to recreate them accurately.
At least.
They're not cheap.
Quality
if they look
shark.
cheap, they're not cheap. Just get a fucking shark kigurumi and be done with it.
They already sell a great shark costume at the Spencer's Gifts or whatever,
There you go.
where it's like you being eaten by a shark, you're inside the shark's mouth.
Get that one
It's
from
a classic.
Spencer's. Go to Spencer's, get that, get a Slipknot shirt, and buy a dildo for your girlfriend. It's a one-stop shop
Or
at
yourself.
Spencer's. Yeah. But enough about the goddamn Super Bowl. Let's talk about the next big event that will have people clamoring to get jokes out online before anyone else in order to scoop up those sweet favorites and retweets, I guess. We're talking about the 57th annual Grammy Awards.
Yep. The Grammys are this weekend, Sunday at 8 to be exact.
Yeah.
And while 2014 was a pretty amazing year for movies, it seems like music is just getting shittier and shittier and shittier every year.
All right, crotchety old man.
Mainstream music, at least.
Yeah, we're talking about mainstream.
Lots of other music is doing great, but the Grammys is about mainstream music. Anyway, let's just go through some of the biggest awards and see what we can dig up.
Yeah, for record of the year, which I guess means single of the year, but it doesn't make sense because there's a single of the year category too. Whatever.
I bought the
EP.
The 33 and a third.
Yeah. We have Fancy by Iggy Azalea, Chandelier by Sia,
See ya.
Stay With Me by Sam Smith, Shake It Off by Taylor Swift, and All About That Bass by Meghan Trainor.
I'm gonna give this one to Chandelier by Sia, because Sia's actually pretty great.
Yeah, she's
But
great.
She'll probably get robbed by Iggy Azalea or Sam Smith, whose songs both culturally appropriate music in different ways. Sam Smith straight up stole a Tom Petty song, and
Yeah.
he's nominated for an award for
Yeah,
it.
there you go. Please take this. For Album of the Year, there's Beck's Morning Phase, Beyonce's Beyonce, Ed Sheeran's X, Sam Smith's In the Lonely Hour, and Pharrell Williams' Girl. I mean, at this point, how do you not give it to Beyonce for
She
this
has
category?
the biggest butt, therefore she wins the biggest award.
You win, because Iggy Azalea is not in that category.
Yeah.
There you go.
So I think the point that we're trying to make here is that the Grammys are pointless and stupid, and they're just as much of a circle jerk as any other awards show.
Yeah.
It's the music industry sucking at the teat of its artists, and it's a big spectacle used to re-inform the masses that this is what they should listen to.
Yeah.
Please like this.
Oh yeah, and please go buy it and stop downloading everything for free.
Come on.
Please.
CDs are coming back.
Yeah, at the very least, there's actual rock music in the rock music categories this year with artists like the Black Keys, Arctic Monkeys, Jack White, and even Mastodon represented across a few nominations. And Aphex Twin got a nomination for Best Dance Album, which is great. I love Aphex Twin.
You dance to Aphex
It
Twin?
this doesn't make sense when I think of dancing.
How
It's
would you
just-
dance to Aphex Twin?
You would dance just like the alien in that chair in the Rubber Johnny music video.
Don't.
That's my
Thank
Aphex
you,
Twin.
Chris Cunningham,
Yeah.
for the most traumatizing music video ever.
Yeah.
Anyway, the real reason anyone will be watching the Grammys is that the performances are always actually pretty
They
decent.
had Daft Punk last year.
Yeah, they go above and beyond for the most part to entertain, and then there's always the chance that something crazy will happen, like Kanye, stealing the mic and whatnot.
Well, that was MTV. There's always something
fucking
crazy.
hell, I can't even get my award shows
Well,
straight.
the point is something crazy might happen, and you want to be the first person on Twitter to get that tweet out.
Yeah.
Get those favorites.
But hey, we hear you don't watch the Grammys,
Yeah.
whatever.
We don't expect anyone to watch the Grammys because there are things happening pretty much around the same time that are better. Like Better Call Saul. The premiere of Better Call Saul is happening on AMC at the same time. Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
So let's be honest, we'd all rather be watching that. And amidst all of our existing excitement for this new Breaking Bad spin-off series, AMC has also given us a bit more of a backstory to the show. A prequel to a prequel, if you will.
Yeah, they just released this digital comic book just a few days ahead of the show's release. So if you want to study up on the origin of the origin about Saul Goodman, now is your chance.
It's actually pretty good. It gives you insight into a familiar storyline that you'll remember from Breaking Bad. From this digital comic alone, it looks like there will certainly be some crossover between Heisenberg and Saul Goodman, even though initially we assumed it would go off on its own either before or after the
Yeah.
Heisenberg storyline, but it looks like it might cross paths.
If this digital comic is anything that representative of the show, it's existing in this time frame that has the potential to cross paths with existing characters. So that's cool. But speaking of Breaking Bad, there's a rumor floating around that Heisenberg himself will step in to play the villain for Star Trek 3, which is exciting.
It could be. I'm a bit iffy on
Listen.
this one. So filmdivider.com claims to have a bunch of info on some of the new characters in the third Star Trek script, several of which will be strong female roles in positions of power, as a way to push back on the fact that all of the women in Into Darkness were basically two-dimensional.
Yeah. The report tosses around names like Judi Dench, Jennifer Lawrence, and Queen Latifah.
Oh, girl.
But that pretty much shows that they're just grasping at straws.
Yeah, so towards the end of this article, though, they say that the villain in the current script is being described as very Bryan Cranston-like, to the point that the studio has actually talked to Bryan Cranston about maybe taking the role.
Yeah, I'm assuming by Cranston-like they're referring to Heisenberg and not Hal, the bumbling dad from Malcolm in the Middle, nor Tim Whatley, the regifting dentist from Seinfeld.
Yeah, that wouldn't really be that scary of a villain.
No.
My big question is, would Bryan Cranston even want to do a role that was basically written as a character he already played? He seems to take his craft pretty seriously, and redoing his most iconic role in space just like 2 years after Breaking Bad ends, it doesn't seem like it'd be very creative or appealing to him.
I don't care, I'd watch it. He revived his role as, but he was just a pharmacy doctor, and I thought it was great, so whatever, I'll see it. Heisenberg in space, give it to me.
He just shows up as Walter White
Yeah.
with the hat and shit.
Exactly.
No context.
Now, having said all that, Walter White was absolutely terrifying during Breaking Bad, so if they're able to write a character like that into the next movie, it should be interesting regardless of whether Bryan Cranston takes the role or not.
Yeah, I really hope Trek 3 is better than Trek 2.
They're action movies.
But Trek 2 is just so forgettable.
They're
That's just me, I'm sorry. But speaking of star power, tonight's episode of Saturday Night Live is the show's 40-year anniversary, and the list of names they tossed around in their Super Bowl teaser ads and other sort of press releases is very long and powerful.
Yeah, it's basically a greatest hits of former SNL cast members and hosts, with SNL alumni like Bill Murray, Eddie Murphy, Chevy Chase, Dan Aykroyd, Will Ferrell, Norm Macdonald, Mike Myers, Tina Fey, Maya Rudolph, Dana Carvey, Chris Rock, Martin Short, and Amy Poehler. God, I'm gonna hate doing the
That's
B-roll
just
for
the
that.
short list.
That sucks.
And the non-SNL alums, they're getting like Kanye West, De Niro, Jerry Seinfeld, Christopher Walken, John Hamm, Jack Nicholson, Betty White, Zach Galifianakis, and many
We
more.
really just scratched the surface with all those names we just dropped. Hell, guess what? Sarah Palin is reportedly gonna drop in.
Okay.
Sure.
As anyone who's ever actually watched an entire episode of SNL knows, the show is very hit and miss.
Yeah.
But despite so many jokes falling flat, in the last 40 years, they've managed to birth the careers of some of the most iconic comedic actors around, so I gotta give them mad respect for that.
Lorne Michaels definitely has an eye for comedy.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Even if tonight's SNL doesn't live up to the list of guests, which I guess would be basically impossible, I'm sure there will be at least 1 or 2 clips going up on the net tomorrow that'll be pretty damn funny. Are they bringing back Sandberg and the Lonely Island guys?
I'm sure they are.
Yeah, they have to.
Yeah, that's the great thing about SNL is like, just watch the clips on Monday morning, the 2 ones that like really, knocked it out of the park,
Yeah.
and then don't worry about ever watching the full show.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andy Samberg, for teaching Lorne Michaels about the internet.
By the way, Lorne Michaels, we are available if you want us to take over Weekend Update. No problem. We'll come to New York right now.
Can you not say fuck on the air for Lorne?
Fuck! No, I can't, damn it. Speaking of clips on the net, for videos this week, we have a bunch of nostalgia for you, starting off with this 8-bit animated intro to The Simpsons.
So it seems like these days, seeing different people's interpretations of that Simpsons intro and couch gag is actually more exciting than the show itself. But this one at least reminds us of the glory days of the show, and It reminds me a lot of that Simpsons arcade game that I played way too much of back then. Lost a lot of quarters in there.
The animation comes from Paul Robertson. Zane loved that game. Comes from Paul Robertson, who is one of the best 8-bit artists working today. He's worked on a bunch of Game Boy Advance and DS games, did most of the design for the Scott Pilgrim video game, and makes some of the most insane 8-bit art you'll ever find.
Yeah, and actually, if you want to see one of my favorite videos of all time, is this guy's like senior thesis in animation school in Australia. It's called Kings of Power 4 billion%, and it will fucking melt your brain and make you feel like you're on acid.
So watch that too. And then with more nostalgia, we've got Rocket Jump's new video, Every 90s Commercial Ever, which definitely takes us back.
Oh yeah, it's got all the hallmarks of old Capri Sun and Sunny Delight ads from the 90s. There's bored kids in clothes that are way too bright, crazy camera angles and zooms, cartoon sound effects, and of course, kids turning into a metallic CGI liquid form after drinking sugar water from a pouch.
That's Alex Mack, right? Secret World of Alex Mack?
I think they also did in Capri Sun commercials.
Oh my god, Alex Mack was so fucking hot when I was young.
My like god. 10, dude.
First boner right here. When that zoomy ass metal liquid gets down to the park to toss foam footballs with a fictional NFL player, things go awry. Very awry.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil this or anything, but it takes a very dark sort of too many cooks twist, and it's definitely worth a watch. Rocket Jump does great stuff. Freddie Wong is
a brilliant filmmaker.
Yeah. So
and then guys, check it out. Tomorrow we have AMA podcast with none other than Bruce Green.
The ghost of Bruce Green.
The ghost of Bruce Green.
The ghost of Bruce Green.
Yes, exactly. He's over at Funhouse now, which was announced right before we filmed this, and we wish them the best of luck. We know they're gonna do great. We're very happy for them, but check him out on our podcast tomorrow. And it's a good time. We actually invented one last Bruce character. There was Retro Bruce, Bookie Eagle Bruce.
This one is,
No, don't spoil it.
Okay.
There's a new character. And check out Weekly Weird and Tech Tuesday and some other stuff over here, guys. Have a good weekend.
Bye.